It is possible to get a bunch of lunatics to move and groove. It is possible. Yes, it is. Takes a great one. That was great. Am I on? I am. Okay. Am I loud and clear, though? I am loud and clear. Oh, this is Palm Sunday. And my first Palm Sunday as a minister, which was a couple of years back, I was trying to think of the modern day version of what would be the waving of the palms. And so I thought I'd get the congregation, maybe you guys will play with me still, would be this, waving of the palms and high fives. So this would be Jesus coming into Jerusalem. We'd be doing, yo, Jesus, and we'd be doing this. Waving our palms, high fives. Okay, well, I got that out of the way. Some of you liked it. Some of you will put that on the I wish he wouldn't do that again card. At any rate, we are here. We are at the end of a series. So virtually we're on the edge of enlightenment. That's what that means. We are in week 7 of this series called Go Within or Go Without. And step 8, which is the last of the step, we combine 2 steps because we're an advanced group, so we put 2 steps together. But this is actually on step 8, which says, I have learned in whatever state I am in to be content. Knowing God is enough. I am content to be in whatever state I am in. No. Let me say it the way it's actually written. I have learned. See, I'm struggling with this, you can tell. In whatever state I am in, to be content, because God is enough. And that actually comes from the words of Apostle Paul. Those of you who know Apostle Paul's writings, he just said, I have learned in whatever state I am in to be content. And we've added in there, the book has added in there, God is enough. Now, you know, we can have a casual relationship with these kind of teachings, and we can become very good with our mastery of affirmations. We can have, a whole quiver full of affirmations that in a moment's notice, like the arrow, we can pull them out and fire them into our life, into our minds, into our hearts. But affirmations don't do it for me. I'll be honest with you. I have found that affirmations are very much like somebody trying to give me direction somewhere, and I'm directionally challenged. So I can hear the words, and I can go, okay, 2 blocks, go left, 2 more blocks, turn right, and then head south, and then get on the freeway. And it's like, I can hear those words. But until I've actually gone there, do you understand? Yes. Unless I've gone there, I probably could not find my way there, just from those words. So what this whole series has been about, it's been about really taking that journey that most of us are loath to take, and that is the journey inward. It is the journey into that ineffable state of consciousness that is so connected to the truth of what and who we are, that it is the only reliable direction finder. It is the only experience that will absolutely validate what we all hold to be these visions and these missions and this notion that God is and that we are a chip off the old block and that we're an emanation of this God. All of those are wonderful words, but unless I go inside, unless I have an experience of that, it's just more words. It's just more concepts. And doesn't our mind just love concepts? Oh, I love concepts, and I love words, and I just want to think about it all the time, and I want to read more, and I want to go to more workshops, and I want to go to more classes, and I want to become more of a scholar of the Bible and all the world scriptures, and all those things are just cluttering up. See? They just clutter up a deeper intention. And so no matter how we get there, it's going to have to be an inward journey. And some of us say, well, does that mean I got to meditate and all that stuff? No. But if you find another way, take it. We don't tell you how to get there. We just tell you where it is and invite you to find your way. Okay, so we started with that notion, and the title of this series was Go Within or Go Without, which is, of course, a play on words. But we have to, because our default behavior is to look out in our world and notice what's out there and then tie it to how we feel inside, that we really need the teachings that work against that default of saying, if I could just get my life right, if I could just get her, just get him, just get this situation squared away, then I'd be happy. And that's been my whole path through life, and this is where many of us hit the wall. It's the proverbial prodigal son experience, where we think that if we had it the way we wanted it, and we could have free reign to run the world and be the masters of our universe and pull all the strings the way we think that they should be pulled, and people would do the way our bidding, and the world would roll at our feet, whatever it is, that somehow that would all translate into this elusive state of well-being that we all want. And so this series has been to work against that human tendency, that default way of being. Jesus talked about the peace that passes human understanding. I mean, he was a master of, passes human understanding. What was he saying by that? Because human understanding would always equate peace with things going a certain way out here, right? That's the way the human thinks. That's the way the surface mind thinks, is that get it right out here equals peace. It's a syllogism. It's a if-then kind of a situation. But Jesus and the masters, all of them said, there is a peace that is unconditional. You could actually, are you kidding me? You could actually be at peace in the midst of a conflicted situation. You could actually be at peace when your partner is angry with you and storms out the door. You could be at peace when you haven't figured your life out yet. We haven't figured out all the right moves for your college education or your career or your life partner or anything. You could have that peace. It's because it's not related to what's happening out here. It's related to that which is already true and already established and needs nothing. And here it is, within. That's what mastery teaches us. That's where mastery points us to. And Jesus had the audacity to say, there will be trials and tribulations. Be of good cheer. Really? Really? Be of good cheer? I mean, could he put a period in there and then said that? There'll be trials and tribulations. Be of good cheer. But did he not live that to the very end? Did he have trials and tribulations? Was he not thinking good thoughts? Those outer conditions being met are lovely when they happen. But I don't know about you, but I've been a really good manifester of outer reality and a not so good one. So since I'm not batting 100%, since I occasionally strike out when I'm trying to hit a home run in my life, I've had to come up with another philosophy. I'm going with mastery. I'm going with the master's perspective. Now, do I always do that? Of course not. But do I know that there is truth in it because I've touched it, I've tasted it, I've known it at times in my life when I have had every reason to be sad, when I've had every reason to be conflicted, and when I've had a moment in the midst of that of some peace or some well-being, or even a little joy bubbling up in the midst of something that's tragic. As a subtle but oh so real reminder that there is something greater in the middle of struggle and difficulty and loss. There is something greater. And the only way that we ever get in touch with the greater, this is it. This is what came to me this morning. This is not earth-shattering, so don't start writing notes. But, it's like you hear it again for the first time. The only way that I can get in touch with that greater reality is I've got to let go of what I'm holding on to in my life as wanting life to be a certain way. And I can say that over and over and over again, but until I actually let it go, until I actually, surrender, not lip service, I think I'll let it go. I've been giving a lot of thought lately to the idea of letting go and surrender. I think it's a really good concept. I've studied it. I've heard from a lot of intelligent people that it's a very valid approach. And in fact, if there, maybe, do you have another book on it or anything that I could read, or a workshop I could go to or something? Because I think there's something in that, and I want to do it, but concepts. And the mind loves to lock in on it, because then it's dualistic, right? Because until we convince ourselves beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that it may not be true. But until I get in my car and drive in the direction and experience how it does get me there, then those concepts, those maps, those surface intentionalities around letting go of this notion of how life needs to be are just nothing but fluff. And they will blow away, and they will blow this way, and they will blow that way with the shifting winds of circumstances, because they always do. And the masters say, no, I mean it. They say, let it go. So, letting go could be, okay, let go. Or it could be, there's a difference. Take a breath with me, and on the out breath, really let go. Here we go. And do that big because that's the God sound. That's the universal release. Let's do it again. In. Oh my God, I can't stand anymore. There's nothing holding me up. And that's when Spirit's like, thank God. Spirit never says thank God. What does Spirit say? We want to have that experience, and all we have to do is let go. Surrender. Give it up. And see, there's a part of us, all this part of us that we're really stuck on is the idea that, surrender, that's giving up, and I don't want to give up, right? Because giving up is wimpy and weak, and I'm letting something else, take over me. But we're not talking about giving up. We're talking about giving way to the greater. So I give up the lesser, and the lesser is always your idea. And moi, about how life is supposed to be. Now, it's okay to have preferences. I have lists and preferences and dreams and visions and all that stuff. But the problem with those things is when they become the conditions that must be met in order for me to be happy about my life, or for me to feel love, for me to feel peace, or for me to feel joy, or for me to feel contented. The masters say, I have learned that whatever state I am in, to be content. Because the divine presence, which is always there, never withholding itself from us, never, off here in some other distant corner of the universe, it's never there, it's always here, and we become either the open-minded, receptive vehicle through which it can be experienced, or we become an argument or a condition that keeps it away. Does that make sense? We either are embodying the presence, or we have a story why peace is not possible for us. Those are the only options. in an awakened state. How many people here are awake? Not everyone. That's honest. That's great. That's great. Only took me, I don't know how many decades to get there. But I don't do it all the time. See, once you know it, it's like, okay, well, I do know how to get to Goleta. I know that now. I don't have to look at a map. I can get in my car from my house. I can get there. But every once in a while, I hold it as a concept, and then I get in my car and I start driving to Carpinteria, And I go, wait a minute, I wanted to go to, yeah, but someone told me that if you go south on the 101, eventually, it's a longer route, but you'll get there. We're all going to get there. All right. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing good. All right. So I know what comes up when we have these kind of conversations because I have a mind just like yours. I have a but just like yours. The but comes up and the but goes, wait a minute. How am I supposed to live this freaking life? You're telling me that all I'm supposed to do is, oh, God is enough. I'm going to go to work tomorrow and, that person that I've got to deal with. And I'm just going to look at her and go, God is enough. And she's got God in her somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I'm assuming that there's some truth in the fact that there's some God in that person there. And then I got to write the check, for the mortgage or the rent, and there's not enough money there, and God is enough. Okay. I wonder if the landlord will understand that. I just heard last Sunday at the church, God is enough. So why couldn't I is that going to work with the landlord, the mortgage company? No. It's not becoming so blissed out that we forget that we have to live in the world. But Jesus said, live in the world, but not of it. So again, it becomes a context for which we hold all of this human stuff that we have to deal with. This is a spiritual community, and yet it takes a lot of money to maintain a spiritual community. So when we talk about money here, we're not abandoning our mission. We don't talk about it very much, but we're not abandoning our mission. We're finding a way to fulfill our mission within this dream called the world. But if we forget what our mission is, if we forget that we are here to embody the divine, to be an expression of the one, if we forget that, then we will get sucked into what the world says this is all about, like paying the bills. And that's no good. Because then we're all in a state of forgetfulness again. You understand? Then we're all in the world back into struggle again. And we don't want to struggle anymore. We want to live from source. We want to live from grace. We want to live from flow. We want to live from the abundance that's already within us. And then from that state of consciousness, then we bring that state of consciousness to what needs to be done here in our lives, with that person that's standing across from us, with that partner, with our lover, with the teacher, with the coworker, with whatever. We want to come from that place which we know that person doesn't have to be a particular way for us to feel loved or accepted or appreciated or whole. And that nobody has to do anything financially for us to feel abundant. Because that's already established in us. So we don't go to God with our prayers, and we started this in week 1. We don't go to God with prayers with our needs, which is what many of us started learning to pray in our early life, maybe still to this day. You got a need, you go to God. Hey, God, I need a healing of my body. I need some more money. I have this relationship thing that really needs to be tweaked big time. And if you had a little extra time, that person needs help. I'm just saying. And then, So we think in terms of bringing our needs to God as if God is, has been completely absent from the scene. And with us making the 9/11 call, that suddenly, I'm sorry, I was distracted. What was that again? Let me get on that. But we don't believe in that kind of a God, because that would mean that somehow God wasn't present. and that somehow God has to come into the scene. But God never doesn't come into the scene because God never went out. God is always in the midst of you and me and everyone and everything. So we don't pray to God. We don't pray to God to get our needs met because God doesn't respond to neediness. Because God knows nothing of needs. This is a hard one. Fasten your seatbelts, folks. Things have a tendency to shift during this conversation, but God knows nothing of your needs. It only knows about one need that you have. And that need is you need to know that God is your allness. What does the ocean know about drought? Go to the ocean and say, we got this drought problem in Santa Barbara, and just what do you think about that? The ocean. The ocean has consciousness of water. It knows nothing of drought. The same would be true of the wave. The wave knows nothing of drought. Fulfillment knows nothing of lack or limitation. Abundance knows nothing of poverty. Love knows nothing of your insecurity or your feelings of unworthiness or your need to be accepted. And peace knows nothing of conflict. The ocean knows nothing of drought. The wave knows nothing of drought. You are the emanation of that fulfillment, just like the wave. And so, in truth, in the heart of who you are, there is no lack. And that's how God knows you. That's how you're held in the mind of God. Fulfillment, and of love, and of wholeness, and of peace. And so our journey is an inward journey so that we can immerse ourselves in this ocean of devotion, of love, of peace. And become so immersed in it that the boundaries dissolve. And we're not just aware of the love around us, or even the love within us, but we realize that we are one with it all. And that's coming from Source. And then when we come back into our life from that place, we come from a state of fullness in our relationships. We come from a source of abundance in our financial transactions. We come from a place of love in our relationships so that we don't rip anybody off. We don't need anything from anybody else. We may ask them, but we understand that they are powerless over our well-being as we are powerless over theirs. But we can be the reminder, because when we remember, we become awesome reminders. And that's what a community can do for us. Because, in a day when your tank is empty and you come in here and then you've got somebody around you who's filled up. And they don't even have to say anything to you. Right? You can just be with them. You can just see the light in their eyes, the joy that's bubbling up from them. And they are a reflection of the you, of the wave that somehow felt it got separated from the ocean. And they can help you drop back into that deeper reality, which you never really left, but you forgot. So the importance of a community cannot be overstated. This community is absolutely vital to a collective awakening. The Buddha even, he didn't gather large numbers of people, but he said, you need a Sangha. A Sangha is a community. We can't do this by ourselves. Jesus said, when 2 or 3 or more are gathered, yeah? So it's not God giving you what you want that you're after. It's God appearing as your life. Let's pray. So with an abundance of gratitude, we are so aware right now of the importance of this inward journey, of how we are already fulfilled in the mind of God, how we are the very expression of the one presence, the one power, the one life, the one love, the one sense of peace and wholeness and well-being. We are already been given that. And so we take the words of Jesus who said, when you pray, believe that you have already received, and it will be yours. And so I just invite you right now to bring to mind a situation in your life that perhaps you're struggling with. It's a conundrum of some kind. It's a problem. It's an appearance of something that's missing or needs to change in order for you to have peace of mind. And I want you with me, with all the sincerity and all of the passion and all of the willingness that you can muster right now. I want you to lay this down on the altar of the divine presence within you. Just let it down. Just lay it down. Just turn it over. Make room in your heart for the greater. It would be its great pleasure to take the place of your want. So with a breath in and a breath out, let us release what blocks this flow. And in that open space, God is in its allness. And you are back in the ocean. And you feel quenched at every level of your being. And there is a satisfaction second to none. And so we let it be. And so it is. Amen.